Society tells us that we value our children, they're precious to us, but sometimes public policy doesn't back up that sentiment. And as the only real advocate for kids in the state of Colorado, the Children's Campaign is the answer.
When the campaign was first founded, it's hard to believe, but children and children's issues were most entirely invisible. They were never covered on the front page. No one was paying attention to them. And the founding board thought we need to have an organization that will follow kids' issues and come up with long-term solutions.
We got to work and decided that we would do it ourselves.
It was for children only because other organizations have children as part of them. That isn't what we wanted. We wanted children only.
So we came up with the name of the Colorado Children's Campaign, and that name has lasted for 40 years, and the organization has thrived and has gone on to do amazing things way beyond my expectations 40 years ago.
So I was assigned to take on the early education, and Barbara O'Brien took on the education board, the kids who were from kindergarten on, and Paul Milinkovich took health, of course.
Almost all the kids that I was seeing at that point in my career were uninsured. Medicaid was very limited in the state of Colorado, and you really had to be very, very poor to get Medicaid.
Children were hungry. I went to visit a school, and first a kindergartner said to me, "How you expect me to learn when I'm hungry?"
The only way we're going to make any progress with this group of kids and these families is to have some policy changes that impacted their lives.
Who's ready to go speak up for kids? Right.
The foundation of the Children's Campaign was always to use data to make a point, to be persuasive with the legislature, but we would also combine that with stories of individual families.
We're always looking for the big change, whether that's full-day kindergarten, universal pre-K, Medicaid expansions, a new school finance formula. We're not here to do the small intermediate things. We're here to do the big things.
Over the years, I've been blessed to work on policies with the campaign, dealing with making sure our children are no longer in poverty. For instance, we ran a bill last year that was the child tax credit, and the campaign was involved in that bill, once fully implemented, will cut child poverty in half.
I got to work on some really amazing things when I was in-house at the Children's Campaign. I got to work on the establishment of CHP Plus, the Colorado, the Child Health Plan. I got to work on Amendment 23, passing Amendment 23, which is K-12 education funding. We started to link early childhood and child care to early brain development and how important that was for kids. And that changed the conversation over time.
And I recall working with the Children's Campaign staff to raise awareness among the legislators about how important it was to have equitable funding, whether a child lived in the Eastern Plains or the Western Slope or in the suburbs of Denver.
We've passed free full-day kindergarten, universal free preschool, saving families thousands of dollars and giving our youngest learners a strong start. We moved from 26th in the nation for preschool enrollment to the top 10, and that was in the very first year of universal preschool alone.
You would be hard-pressed to find a piece of legislation benefiting children and families in Colorado that didn't have the campaign's fingerprints all over it.
One of the things that I think is easiest to point to is the Kids Count report that comes out every year, and our trustees sort of pine for that report to come out in the fall. So we look there first. Beyond that, we really turn to them for their expertise about how do we win this thing for kids.
And yet, I think they're also really brilliant at leaning into the fun element as well. And Children's Campaign did that really well with the doll campaign. They quite literally brought kids into the seats of the State House.
It was remarkable. I thought it was fun. I thought people enjoyed having it and seeing it. So that was one of my favorite moments.
Colorado Children's Campaign is going to turn 40. And I think everyone here who has turned 40 or knows someone who's turned 40 knows that's a big deal. One of the most important things that happened over the last 40 years is that a reputation was built. And we have a great relationship with legislators, with the governor's office, with all of our community partners in terms of being an organization that is really effective. And I think that that comes from 40 years of experience.
If we didn't have the Colorado Children's Campaign, we will have to recreate it because there is no way to have a healthy early childhood ecosystem without the Colorado Children's Campaign.
We wouldn't have as many children ready to go to school, graduating from high school, going on to college, and really living fruitful and successful lives.
Everyone in Colorado, from children's and families, the entire state, owes the Colorado Children's Campaign a great deal of gratitude.
I like to think of what Colorado is like because of the work of the campaign. It's a place where kids' voices are heard and seen in spaces where they're not normally. It's in spaces like the Capitol, as well as in the state budget.
The Children's Campaign is probably the most effective, certainly child advocacy organization in the state of Colorado, but I would argue maybe in the whole country. And I think it's highly unusual that an organization be as old as 40 years old and be as effective continuously for 40 years.
This is all work that we can be proud of. And even more importantly, it's work we can build on, and we will. Thank you again to the Colorado Children's Campaign for your key role that you play every day to ensure that every child and every family has the opportunity to thrive in our great state and our great nation. Congrats on 40 years, and I look forward to the next 40.